Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on April 17th, 1/7/2024. The fabulous Donna Terrell. Kick a bow.
Yay.
Okay. Yeah, you have to
Oh, I
make
have
a
to say
noise.
something. Yay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We've got some secrets about her coming out in a second. Okay. And the ever knowledgeable Dynamo Tommy Alascio. You changed your name on LinkedIn, I noticed, from Thomas Tom Alascio to just Thomas Alascio. Am I right about that? Because
No, I didn't change it unless they changed it for me.
Oh, well, I'm not sure because I linked to you this morning. Anyway, his name is.
You might have linked to my dad. Did you link to my dad?
Your dad's on LinkedIn, maybe.
Yeah.
No,
But anyway, it was a great video clip, and I want to talk about that again today. But first, Donna is a great singer. I've mentioned it many times. She's a good communicator. Just here,
They changed it. I didn't change it. They changed. No, it's still there. It's still there.
Oh, okay, but
Sorry,
she says, "Thank you, Tom."
It looks two different ways. That is interesting though, because it depends on how you look at it. Sorry, go ahead. Interesting LinkedIn thing.
Don't make me edit the show, okay? Donna said, I know Donna's a singer, but she said she also does voiceover work. And she said that her voice, when she does that, is quite different than from what we're hearing here. And I would have thought that if somebody, for instance, who's a DJ, they've got, or a news announcer on TV, they've got those phony voices. I would have thought that if someone had that voice, they'd be using it professionally all the time. Now, Donna, are you saying that you've got a special voice, but you don't use it in your recruiting business? Yes or no?
Both. I have lots of voices because if you're going to do voiceover, you can't just have one voice. It depends on what's needed. So I'll read you something. This is just a random thing that I printed off the internet. I don't even know what it is. I've never read it before. But like, let's say I was reading it for a client that it was like a training session or something that employees would just listen to. Okay. This will help you craft a wish for success and an intent to do good for yourself and your customers.
Nope. Sounds like a machine. Don't like it.
That's one voice. That's what they like usually for some kind of learning.
No, your own voice is much, much better than
that. There's also like the girl next door voice. There's like the more
girl next door, and then we'll stop. I want to hear girl next door. Okay.
Girl next door would be a lot more like this. It would just be more like who I am.
Oh, like that? You mean bright and peppy?
Probably. Okay. Just someone who you would talk to.
Okay. Tom doesn't use any extra voices. No. Tom? No voice.
I mean, I can talk really fast like this when I'm from Brooklyn.
He does use it. Him and Ernie, they try to mimic
things down a little bit when I'm talking from somebody from the South. And,
I'm
from Baltimore, so we think things like water. I wash my clothes in water, and I fall and hit my head on the cement. You better call the ambulance.
I never understood Warsh or Warsh. Where did the R come from?
I don't know, but I never hear it now. But when I was in elementary school a long time ago, some of our teachers would say "warsh."
Warsh, water, Miro, bureau, Tuesday, Monday, Little Italy.
Oh yeah, Monday. That's very rural. I tend to think of it as rural, but you will actually use those in a fake way when you're talking to people.
No, it's not fake. I actually grew up in Baltimore, so if I hang around my dad too long, I will catch myself saying, "Hey, Dad, can I get a glass of water?"
Really? Okay.
I have to catch myself because when you're hanging around somebody in Baltimore who was born and raised in Baltimore, you start talking Balmorese.
Okay.
That's what it's called, Balmorese.
Water is not that much different from water, but Warsh is a lot different from wash.
Warsh, you're close.
Yeah.
You're close to Worcester.
Okay, let's get to it. Okay. What about this? You guys know I like Andy Elliott, the sales trainer, the over-the-top sales trainer, and he says, "What are you wearing?" He says to the guys in his trainings, "What are you wearing? Those look like fucking jammies." Okay, and his claim is, that if you're working at home on the phone and you're wearing like a sweatsuit that looks like pajamas, that's no good. I don't think it makes a difference. Anybody else want to?
I wear a collared shirt every day to work, even though I work from home right now. I mean, I've always worn a collared shirt just because I feel, I don't know, a little more put together, right? Like I've come to, you see some of my meetings, I've been in sweatshirts and a skull cap, right? Because I came from the barn or whatever. And I feel way more relaxed and casual, right? I can get away with it. But if I put on my, my pink, I usually wear pink or purple collared shirt, and I got my slacks on, I feel a little more, I don't know, put together.
Really? Okay.
Mine,
well, you can't really say you're formal. I mean, it's a golf shirt, right? Ed McMahon, I'll just say
I used
Ed
to wear a shirt
McMahon.
and tie to work every day.
Yeah, Ed McMahon advised people at their homes to wear a suit. I thought it was crazy. Donna,
I don't do
That's
the
an old
clothes.
school way of things.
But makeup. I'll put my makeup on even though I'm the only one here. So, but that makes me feel put together.
Yeah, but your makeup's so light. How long does it take you to put that on? 2 minutes?
It's light. It looks light because I'm so old. When it's off, then you would know how much is on.
My dad still
I
wears
think.
a sport coat when he flies. I mean, it's an old school way of thinking.
Oh yeah, yeah. The first time I was on a plane, we wore ties and sports coats. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Okay, okay. So you guys believe that it does make a difference what you wear when you're on the phone by yourself. Okay, Tom. Here's what Tom says. Tom says there's no in recruiting, in his world of recruiting. This is Tommy Alascio. He says there's no, I want to see more people. No hiring manager is going to tell him, I want to see more people. And I had to think back. So he must get a minimum list of requirements for a very good candidate, not a mediocre candidate.
So
really, let me finish. Okay. A very good candidate. This is the requirements. When I have a candidate that meets that checklist, don't tell me that you want to see more people. This is either someone who's hireable or he's not. Okay, those are your words. Am I right though that
yes.
you say I need
100%.
a checklist of a top candidate, right? Not a mediocre candidate.
I mean, yeah, like so. It's any candidate, right? When you bring a candidate to a client, are you gonna move forward and interview him and her for the next step, or are they not? We cut them loose. There is no, well, maybe let's see some more. Either they're good enough to interview and move forward with today, or they're not. Right? That's my point. It's not like, oh, well, let's see what. We need to see a couple more people. No. Is she good enough, or is he good enough? Yes.
Let me ask you a question. What do you do? Like I had this recently when they've interviewed, but then they changed. They're like, oh, that we thought we wanted this, but we want that. Is that a different story for you? So like maybe they're changing the level. Okay.
So explain to me why we're moving from 5 years experience in EIT or PE and now 7 years experience at a PE. Like explain to me why we're doing this, right? And what was the change? I need to have not just because, right? But yes, I mean, and asked Rich, what he brought it was, when I submit a candidate, there's only 2 questions. Yes, we're going to move forward, or no, we don't want them. Not, we need to see more people. Put this one on the back burner.
Keep them warm.
My point was that to make that doable, you got to tell I think you have to tell the hiring manager in advance, look, I want a candidate. I want a checklist of what you're looking for, that if the candidate has that, you can't say no to him. He's a hire, or you're giving me you got to move the goalposts, one or the other. Okay. Am I right about that?
So the question is, well, no, because you could bring someone with lesser and ask him, do you want to interview this guy? He's missing an MBA, but he has everything else you want. He doesn't fit the checklist, but do you want to interview him? Yes or no?
Okay. Well, that's kind of different. I mean, then you're giving the person some leeway. But if you ask the hiring manager for a list of a checklist for a top candidate, and she says, "Oh, I want to see more people," that's time to walk away from the search. It's time to walk
100%.
away. Am I right?
99% of the time, it's 100% a walk away from the search. If they say, "Well, maybe, but let's keep them on the back burner, and we want to see more people," you're being played.
Okay. Doug Wald says, what does he say? Something about don't sit on a kick-ass candidate. Don't let them sit on I like that, kick-ass candidate, right?
100%.
Okay. And the solution is, though, walk away. That's pretty radical, okay? Am I right about that? Walk away?
It's not
You
radical.
say,
it's smart.
listen, Ms. Hiring Manager, I cannot work with you under these terms. You're telling me what a good candidate is when I bring someone in who meets those standards. You tell me to go look for more people, putting this candidate at risk. Would anyone actually
Yeah,
say that? Would anyone say that to a client?
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's what like I don't.
It's everything's a business decision. You got to decide, is it worth your
Yeah.
time? And the more you waste on time, more time you waste on searches that are going nowhere, or the client keeps moving the goalposts, the more money you need to get up front or walk away. Every time they change the plan, they change, hey, we need someone who's done A, B, and C. You send them that, really, we need someone who does X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, let's get a new retainer set up then, because essentially it's a new search.
Yeah.
And then again, it doesn't mean you walk away every time, but it's like, it's a business decision you got to make. Do you want to spend your time working with a client that may not really know what they want, or do you want to spend your time going to find better clients? And most recruiters will spend their time working with shitty clients instead of finding the better client.
Okay, let me just add something there. Rich has insisted, and I can find the recordings if I have to, that one of the signs that differentiates a good recruiter from a bad recruiter is the choice of clients. Get rid of the bad ones. Am I right about that?
100%.
And so, and also,
I will push back a little bit. Like you can have schmoes that when you're doing searches that you can send to bad clients, right? I don't call them bad. I call them C clients, A, B, and C, right? You do A clients are searches, B clients are, when you don't have good searches, you go to the Bs, and the Cs are the ones that only pay 20%. So if I get a schmo that no one else wants to hire, why wouldn't I take the 20% from that shitty client in South Dakota, right? But I'm not going to search on it. It doesn't mean I'm going to, completely never talk to him again.
okay, I remember Rich had a client like that. They begged him to work their searches for 5 months. He said, no, I don't think it's a good search. Then he said, okay, because he had 3 candidates that met their requirements. He sent them out, and what do you think? They canceled the search after the candidates were there, and they liked everybody liked those candidates, right?
Yep.
And so he sent them a nasty email. He didn't think it was nasty, but it was nasty. and they wrote back to him. He wrote back to him, oh, you made everybody feel bad. He said, good, because I feel bad too. We all feel bad now. Am I right about that, Richie Rich?
Absolutely.
Okay, my point.
Again, you're 2 for 2 today, buddy. I love it.
Test the job order. Remember the old test the job order? That's what you do.
Absolutely.
My point is the thing is, like I said, that's a rigid standard. When you say you give me a checklist, and if I meet these requirements, it's a hire, no ifs, ands, or buts.
It's not a hire, but it's definitely an interview and a decision.
No, it's a hire. What's wrong? If that person, you get it out the interview, and that person has exactly in the interview, like Rich said, he sent out 3 candidates. They were all good. If you're not going to hire them, something's really wrong. And you got to walk away, and you have to walk away from those guys if they don't walk away from they don't beat you to it, right?
Yeah.
But that's a hard decision. But hold on, I got more ammo.
Oh boy, he's on
Rich.
a roll.
Rich, and I think Tom as well. They said if my client insulted me and they wanted to cheat me out of $10,000, I would walk away from
Yeah, we've done it. I've done it. Tom's done it.
$400,000 a year's worth of business.
Listen. You can listen to it. Where's the guarantee they're coming back for business? They fucked you once.
The odds are the odds
are not there. The odds are absolutely not there. Bad clients are bad clients. And, that's a massive difference between the bigger billers and the regular, dopey recruiter. They're going to say, oh, please, Mr. Client, don't hurt me. Let me beg to work for you. Fuck that. I mean, why would you prostitute yourself and say, let this person treat you like shit, and then say, thank you, sir, may I have another?
Please, sir, I want more.
Please, one more.
No, but the point there is that woman, her client had done $450,000 worth of business with her just the year before. Okay.
All right, Adam. So let me ask this. So you're say you got married and you're with this person for 10 years, and suddenly, this girl smacks you around. Are you gonna sit there and take it, or are you gonna say fuck you and leave? I'm like,
This is a how much she smacks you around question.
No, there's not.
Depends what
No,
you're
there's
into. My
not.
bad. You Canadians. I mean, you guys are
You
into some
know?
kinky stuff. So
It's
Sorry, Donna.
it's a mutual respect thing. Yeah.
I'm just on LinkedIn over here
There you go.
doing other work.
And, for the people, we're talking about the clients, we're not, contingent recruiters, new recruiters who are starting their business, whatever, and you get a good job order and the client signs a fee agreement, you need to test that job order as quickly as possible. See what the client does when they say, I want a bottle washer with 9 years experience and an MBA and has 6 years working in manufacturing and 3 in sales, and you can get that person and you send them out. If they do not interview them, it's a bad client.
Yep.
You have to test that job order, see what the cooperation is, and then know to move on.
well, that's it. What's the, and how fast do they even respond to you? I mean, we're all taking jobs and then poof. I have a client that sent me, we signed a contract 3 weeks ago. Never heard back from him. I'm like, after a protracted contract conversation, gone. Same thing, like Tom said, sent the test balloon over there because I knew it was a little funky. Nope.
And you're going to check to see if that test balloon was hired behind your back, right?
Nope, because it was just a LinkedIn profile with no name on it. Because I'm just curious.
Okay. Well, he said
It was
before
just-
that he never sends those blind
No,
profiles.
yeah,
okay?
this was not really a resume. It's not someone I even talked to. It was just, hey, what do you think of this? Well, I guess it has a resume. It had his name on it because it was just a link, but it was just a profile. I didn't really care.
So what? You went through the trouble of finding that person. That's a fee.
No, it's literally someone that they already knew because it came from a competitor. I just wanted to see if they'd respond because I just had
That was a good test. That was
I
a
had a
good
feeling.
test. That
What?
was a good test.
It was because I had a gut feel. The feeling was right, and it usually is. And you know what? I wasted all of 30 seconds. I wasted more time on the stupid contract than the search.
Donna,
So,
do you want to say something?
I did the same exact
Go ahead,
thing.
Tom.
Company called me up. We need a search. We have a search. God, we're dying. I did. Fine. This is my terms. No problem. Send them my information. Because it takes time. I got to go and get a fee agreement and a 1099 and send them all the stuff. And nothing.
No, I was just gonna
Nothing.
say
Like,
on
fuck,
internal side, the difficulty is that you're still working with these people all the time. You have to deal with the same things where you have a search and then it goes away, or they change the terms of it, or some people are indecisive, or trying to get them to keep things moving, but you don't have the option of you're not a good one.
Well, no, but
try to coach it.
But with internal, you can at
Oh.
least say, hey, listen, if it's not important to you, it's not important to me.
And you still get paid.
Well,
Well, you can, but what are you gonna? I guess you're getting a salary, so great. They're paying you to do nothing.
yeah, that would be true if all I did was recruit, but unfortunately, I have a lot of other jobs.
Yeah.
Well, then,
Oh, really?
but
I
then there
didn't
you
know
go.
that.
So you focus
Oh,
on the other jobs instead of the recruiting, because what's the point of recruiting if no one's looking to see the candidates?
Yeah, but that's just one thing if they're being slow. But I mean, there's a lot of other. I'm in a search right now where I just started a new search because the candidates I brought them, they changed their mind about what they wanted once they interviewed the people they asked for. So it happens.
Okay.
I mean, there's so
I'll
many
just mention-
qualifiers with a new client. Like, will they give you your cell phone? Right? If they won't give me their cell phone, fuck them. I'm done. Right? If they don't return my call within 24 hours, unless they have a legitimate reason. I was in the hospital, I was on vacation, but you can send me an email, right? You have out of office reply. Like it's the communication is such an important thing, right? And I get like, well, I don't want to bother him. If I hear a recruiter say I don't want to bother him,
I
I
love
want to
that.
shake the shit out of that recruiter.
Yeah.
Whereas
I
like
don't
this is
bother.
I'm not a bother. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm
Yeah,
fulfilling
I'm
a
working.
search and helping you make money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There was a Josh Braun, I'll send to you. He wrote this. I saw it on LinkedIn. He wrote this great email to send when people don't respond. So, like, say you send a contract out and they don't get back to you, or the candidate doesn't get back to you. I saved it. It was a fantastic email. It gets like I've used it, I don't know, 10 times in the last, I don't know, month or so, and it's gotten probably like an 80-90% response rate.
What is
You
it?
going to share it?
Yeah, I gotta find it, but I'll happily share it. I mean, I
You
didn't.
remember the outline?
No, why would I remember it? I save it. I gotta remember where I put it. Is
You
what
said
I'm gonna do.
10 times.
Hang on.
Okay.
Let me
I
ask
just
you a
wanna-
good question. Wait a minute. Following up on don't bother people. There was a guy that made a LinkedIn post. He's not a recruiter. He's an instructional designer. but he made a big post about don't call recruiters on their cell phone, but like don't find it on your own. Like don't look for a recruiter's number, a cell phone number, and reach out to them because it's violating their, time and space. And I thought, well, he's probably not talking about agencies, he's probably talking about internal recruiters. But what do y'all think about that, about candidates being proactive and finding your number and sourcing you?
They should. Listen, if they're I'm in sales, so I mean the sales guys, they totally should be doing that. I love it. I'll talk to anyone that calls me.
What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I agree with you.
you.
Like I kind of see the, anybody can call me anytime. I'll answer any phone call. Tamkin says, I hate to answer. I wanted to do what Tamkin said, but I get too many spam calls. So if it says spam or something, I don't answer it. But I'll answer anybody who calls me. I'll answer. Right, so I get that. But in the internal recruiters, I kind of understand that because there's so much going on in their world that having candidates constantly calling them on cell phones, man, that could be less. I mean, because the thing is, let's be realistic. How, and an internal recruiter probably gets a lot more schmoes than I ever do in any day of the week, right?
Yeah.
You get all these people applying to jobs that have no qualifications. If they're calling you constantly, yeah, I could see how that could be a major issue.
Okay, my guru for internal recruiting, the great Amy. Okay, first of all, coming back to what we said before, what Rich said, one of her constant refrains is, "I'll put as much into this, hiring manager, as you will." Okay, but that's only when they don't reply and stuff like that. It's a different situation that what Donna talked about, where they keep rejecting your candidate and changing the requirements. What I wanted to mention, though, was with regards to what Tom said a few minutes ago. I didn't get to reply right after. It was like he said, essentially answering my question, if they do something dumb, he's walking. They don't give me their phone number, I'm out. Okay? So if I bring them a candidate that they said meets the minimum requirements of a great top talent, then I'm out of there. I'm not going to go searching for more people on a wild goose chase while I lose.
Unless there's legitimate reason after they interview them why they don't want to hire them, right?
Yeah.
Like I have brought rock star candidates, and there are legitimate reasons why. And if it's legitimate, I'm okay with that. Hey, he doesn't fit in culturally, or we're afraid of this, or we tested him and this happened. I'm okay with that. But at least they're interviewing them, right? Like not everybody, even the perfect candidate on paper is not always a fit.
How do you feel if they just call it a gut feeling, but they can't identify it, but their gut feeling is how do you classify that?
Man, I haven't had that happen in a long time. So it has happened to me back in the day. I don't know how I would deal with that today. That would be hard.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do. You're just like, really? Give me something to work on. What don't you like about him? I mean, it's all you can do. How do I fix the gut feeling thing? Yeah.
What is it about your gut
that
didn't like? He was too aggressive. Was he too standoffish? Do you think because he's a Democrat, you're a Republican? Give me something.
Yeah, I had a client last week who passed on a candidate because he had spent time in the Israeli military, not because he was against Israel, just because he just found Israelis in general to be difficult. I'm like, but he's not Israeli. I'm like, he's an American that went over there. And he's like,
I look at military background as fantastic, right? Like I love that.
Especially if you want
that means they have discipline and teamwork and know how to deal with people from all socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds. Like I love military people.
I mean, I've got this new client that I thoroughly enjoy, but he's sliding down the scale in the wrong direction. I'm like just way too particular. But hey, I posted that. I put that email. I put that email in the chat.
That is awesome. I'm sending it right now.
It's been copied and pasted.
No, wait a second. Wait a second. Everybody, Rich is supposed to be smart. Okay, this is a show where there's no typing on the screen. It's all verbal. It's all auditory. So he sends a chat. I said, what's in that email? He sends it as a chat and said, oh, that's enough. No, we've got an audience, Rich. Can you read it out loud?
No, have Donna read it. Have Donna read it in her voiceover voice.
I don't like her voiceover. I like her regular voice.
He doesn't like it.
Okay, Rich, go. Donna, read it, but in your regular voice. I like your regular voice, okay?
Hi, John. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi, John.
Animal's got to go.
Moneymaker. There's a moneymaker.
I told you I had a lot of voices. All right. It says, hi, John. It looks like you've decided not to proceed with the search. Perhaps I dropped the ball somewhere along the way. Here's my ask, and I know it's an ask because you don't owe me a response. Would you be open to providing feedback so I can serve you better should a need arise in the future? Was it my terms, price? Did you find someone else who was taller? Chuckle, chuckle. Either way, I know there are lots of people competing for your time and resources, so thanks for taking the time with me. I added the chuckle, chuckle.
What was your
Not
response
I love
to
it.
those
I'm
10
doing the
times?
right- to that. Yeah, I love it. I love
Rich
it.
sent it 10 times. What's your response? I wasn't that impressed, by the way. Go ahead.
The response is usually it's like, hey, let me get to the agreement right over. Hey, I apologize for calling you in an hour, or what, have you, however you change it up. It's worked great.
Okay, they don't say, hey, you passive aggressive little prick. Okay, for sending me
There's
that.
nothing passive aggressive about that. That is
Not at all. It's
actually-
fantastic.
I
Well,
think
maybe
that's
you're
fantastic.
busy, I know. Yeah. What you're saying to the guy is, you are screwing around with me, okay? And I'm not going to stand for it, okay? And I'm going to be polite.
And you know what? If you get it, our whole job is to elicit responses from people. All right, that's like 90% of our battle. Once you get someone to get back to you, all right, that's the easy part. Now, I mean, now it's just talking to them about the role you're working on, why and what you're doing. Getting them to respond is the hardest part of the whole freaking deal. Normally.
Okay, everybody out there in listener land, I know I was a little unfiltered in that last response, but I just was trying to express what the receiver is really feeling, okay? I know I was not businesslike.
Who cares?
I don't want to edit it out.
Who cares what you say or think? Come on.
Yeah,
We want
Well, the thing is,
usable information.
I told you some of these shorts, if I turn it into a short, they get quite a few viewers. The regular show only gets about 30.
Listen, I've had a lot of calls, not a lot. I've had enough calls to remember people say, hey, they saw me on this show.
Maybe on the shorts, ask them in the future, because you guys are all in tons of shorts, okay? I don't always link to you when I post them on LinkedIn either, although I did post a link to Tom and Donna this week. Okay, here's a follow-up that goes with what we've been talking about. And it sounds funny, but it's real. Can you charge a hiring manager extra for being stupid? Okay.
Stupid tax.
No, I remember. I think Rich said that he puts into his fee agreement that if they renege, if they break certain conditions, then he pulls out some of his other promises, like the guarantee or something like that.
That's just
Isn't
a
it?
normal guarantee, though.
No, but what is it? How does that work? If they don't get back to me in 48 hours, something like that?
No, yeah, I mean, I've had different agreements, but my main agreement is essentially my agreement, it's basically if they pay late. In the engaged agreement, if you don't get back to you within like 48 hours, yeah, I mean the engagement fee is considered fulfilled.
Okay, so the search is over, and I'm not paying you back what you gave me up front. That's what you're saying, right?
I mean, it gives you the right to do it.
Uh-huh.
So-
Okay, but that's essentially this. You're charging the guy extra for being an idiot, right? Am I right about that? Yes.
Well, yeah, there's the asshole test, for being a pain in the ass client. If you really want to put up with that person, or for someone that doesn't respond.
Call it your PETA clause. Just have it at the bottom.
PETA is pain in the ass, everybody, just in case you don't know the abbreviations, okay? Donna can be as crude as me. There you go.
I try. I'm working on it.
Thank you.
Hey, I got to drop, guys.
I know
See ya.
I had this
Thank you, Rich.
earlier, Rich. Thanks again, man.
Okay.
I
How
love
about
that.
this?
I love that. I love that. Man, because I don't very often I don't get ghosted, but when I do, I don't know what the response. I usually don't respond. I'm like, well, fuck them. This is just fantastic, just to get at least a follow up to end with. I mean, I'm sending it right now to this company that
Read it again, Donna, a little slower, okay?
Hi, John. It looks like you've decided not to proceed with the search. Perhaps I dropped the ball somewhere along the way. Here's my ask, and I know it's an ask because you don't owe me a response. Would you be open to providing feedback so I can serve you better should a need arise in the future? Was it my terms? Price? Did you find someone else who was taller? Either way, I know there are lots of people competing for your time and resources, so thanks for taking the time with me.
Oh,
Boy, that sounds like something on a dating site, she doesn't want to go, she doesn't accept your
I changed it to.
request.
Did you find? I changed it to. I know lots of people competing for your time, and you're busy. So thanks for taking the time.
I
just
do
changed that.
have to tell you that breathy hi, John, did turn me on.
I'll never say it again.
Okay. Well, I thought it was quite impressive. So there you go. Okay.
Okay.
And I know
Yeah,
you moved away from it right away. Okay.
So anybody who watches this in business development, this is an absolute 100% must do if you get ghosted from a client or even a candidate. You can say, look, hey, John, it looks like you decided not to proceed with interviewing with, John, Bottle Washing Inc. Perhaps I dropped the ball along somewhere late. Here's my ask. I know it's ask because you don't owe me a response.
Everybody, it sounds like you're saying, here's my ass. It's ask. Request is the word. Okay. I guess an easier 3-letter word instead of request.
I know it's an ask.
An ask. It sounds like
ask. Yeah, my wife makes fun of
me
me because I can't say that word.
Here's my ass. Okay. Donna, you shouldn't be. Don't say that, Donna. Okay. You put request in there. Okay.
Now, here's a question. How will we change this? Would you be open to providing feedback so I can
do better
should a need arise in the future if you're going to make a job change?
Oh, you mean for a candidate?
Like how would you change the would you be open to feedback for a candidate? Right? Because this is a good one. Like I've been ghosted by candidates.
Opportunity arise in the future. Would you be open to providing feedback so I can
work with you better?
Work with you better should an opportunity arise in the future.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it my client? Was it me?
My breath. Sounds like my breath.
Did you find a job that was taller? Smiley face.
Here's certs. It's got two mints in one. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I like. So could you? You know what? I'm dumb. So what was that again, Donna?
What about what? Oh,
would you be open to providing VX so I can?
I think animals said work with you better or something, and I just said should an opportunity arise.
So should
communicate better, work with you better.
Opportunity.
I am a servant recruiter, and I want to serve you better.
That works.
I
just needed that. All I needed was should an opportunity arise in the future. That was what I needed.
Okay, there you go. HR manager wants the recruiter to send video of the candidate answering questions.
You get this off Reddit?
Pardon me? No, I got it off Jerry's group. And but that's what Hone It. Nick Livingston has been on the show many times. He used to be a sponsor, and that's what Hone It is for. You can record either in video or audio, and then they make these little clips of one question. But I've never heard of a company asking for that stuff in advance. Anybody else?
Well, the one I saw on Reddit, they wanted them to answer questions, like not a one way, not a two way, right?
Oh, okay.
So I said a compromise, and they said, yeah, no. First of all, no passive candidates are going to do that, right? And some active candidates may get kind of freaked out about that. What I said a compromise was for you to ask them the questions, saying, hey, we're going to have a Teams meeting. I record all my meetings, right? Record the meeting and then share that small portion of the questions with the client. That would be the compromise that I would do.
I did have a friend who went through a job interview that way, with video. So it was more like what you're saying, Tom, where there were a series of questions, and I don't know if she was interacting with AI or if it was or what it was. It wasn't a real person, but what she liked about it was she got to re-record. So she could record an answer, play it back, and they'd be like, "Oh no."
5 times.
She would,
You're allowed 5 times for each question. Amazon did that. Do you remember when Amazon was going to actually help small business owners open Amazon delivery areas, and you could apply, and they would help you get a loan and get you 10 trucks, and they would work with you? They did this, and I knew a guy who applied for that. Right, you had to go through a process. You had to show that you had X amount of dollars, and this was your credit. And one of the things you had to do was do a interview with questions, and he had to read the question and then respond to it, and he was able to redo it a couple times on each one. So yeah, that was actually a good thing.
I've never heard of anyone liked it. Most people find it depersonalizing. They find it cold.
Oh, I think it is depersonalizing.
I didn't know that you could re-record, but the ones that I've seen, it tells you how much time you've got to answer that question. It'll say, here's the question, time 35 seconds. Okay, so you've got to condense your question to fit that time, which is hard if you haven't looked at the question before. That's why if you can do it 5 times, then you've got a chance to do it right. Am I right about that?
Yes, yes. And I will say that this is probably something more used for, and I don't want to use the word desperate, but active people who really want to work for Google or IBM or Facebook, right? It's not going to be, I call him recruit some guy. I'm not going to get him to go through that, right? But if you're an active candidate and you really want to be a programmer for Google, you really want to be a sales rep for IBM, and you're willing to go through all that rigmarole, then they know that you're committed to that job, right? So that's where I think that would be used more, or a lower level job where they get hundreds of applications, right? So let's see the people who are willing, because I had a client who had a willingness test. If you applied to their job, you had to take a willingness test, and it was 10 or 12 questions, and it was like, and it had some weird wording like, will you decline to take a drug test, right? All of them were yes, and 2 of them were no. And the no's were, will you decline to take a drug test? And I don't remember what the other one was, but it was called a willingness test, right? And it was just, are you willing to adhere to kind of like what we are as a company? So I could see, and they used that because they would run a job for like a laborer in a plant, and they get 300 applications. And that was the way to sort out the people who were unwilling to work weekends or unwilling to work overtime or unwilling to take a drug test, right? They were all gone. And that's what I think this could be used for, is people who are unwilling to do that or probably don't fit the culture or aren't as excited about the job as they want, the client wants them to be. Does that make sense?
The first recruiting job I got, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what recruiting was, but at the bottom of the application or the job advertisement or whatever, he gave like very specific things that he wanted you to do besides just send your resume. Like it was very specific and kind of weird. But I was like, well, okay, you know, and one of the first things he said was, he's like, I don't call too many people in because most people just send in their resume or they just do, you know, whatever, but you read all the things and did all the things, you know, so it was definitely a screening tool for him.
Yeah. And
I think you were right about this is all these AI tools, lots of them are doing this stuff, and it's for mass applications. Even if you said lots of people want to program at Google, well, they must be getting thousands of applications from around the world, and maybe even for, you know, sophisticated job as a developer, some of them screen it out. Go ahead.
I got a company, we're just over 50 people, and if I put anything on LinkedIn, which is what I rarely do, I'll get hundreds of applications. I mean, for just this tiny little company. So I can imagine if you're someone who's well known, has a big name.
Do you think you could put in 1 second, Tom? If you put in, do you promise never to ghost us? If they answered, they'd actually stick to it. You think?
No.
Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
So,
What were you going to say?
when I was in elementary school, I remember getting a test from the teacher on a Friday. I still remember
I know
this.
what you're gonna
And it
say.
had like 13 questions, right? And it was like, the first question was read everything on this and follow directions step by step, right? But make sure you read everything first. And the last question said, ignore everything but this question, sign your name to it, and turn your paper over, right? So you would see, like, I still remember, even with my ADHD, I read everything, signed it, turned it over, and I watched like my really smart, super smart friends, A students, like it was like 3 + 7 divided by 9, and they're doing this. We only had like 10 minutes to do it, and they're freaking out. See, me turning it over, and they didn't know what was going on. And it was.
I gave
read
those
all
to
the
my
instructions.
students. I gave this to my students, but I would put horrible things, like I'd make them stand on their desk or like just do ridiculous things. And you see these kids walking around the room like clicking like a chicken, and the ones that had read it all, you know, are just like.
Yeah, you
It's a
sign
great
it
thing
and
to
turn it
do.
over. Yeah, and that's what it is.
Great
I
thing to
think
do.
those are tests to people who are willing to kind of go the extra mile and follow directions. In big, I get 300 applications. How do I sort 300 applications?
Okay. All right, let me see. I've got a question that I really wanted to give to Tom. I don't know if we have enough time. I'll start it. Okay.
We got
But if
12
you guys
minutes.
say, what do you have? 12 minutes. You guys say, I want to move on. I don't want this one right now. But I was watching a video. I think the guy's name is Ivan Leens, Leens. I liked his recruiting videos, and he said he gave a list of business development objections. The objections you're going to meet when you're trying to get business. Okay, he's got 4. Number 1, I have no time to speak with you. I'm busy. Number 2, we're not working with agencies. Number 3, we're not recruiting right now. Number 4, we have a PSL, a preferred suppliers list. Okay, Tom, you are big on handling and rebutting objections. Do you have anything as those go through your mind that you would say in response to them, or you want to leave it for another time?
No, I would say so. The preferred supplier list is very simple. How do you get on that? What are the steps to become one of your preferred suppliers should someone drop off of it, right? That's kind of a hard one to overcome unless you have like a rock star candidate, right? And then that one guy who was on the other day, who's an in-house recruiter, works construction. He was on like 3 weeks ago. I can't remember his name.
Alan.
Alan's got a percent, and he says, you can call our recruiters and make a split. We'll hire your guy if he's that good. But no one ever calls that recruiter, right? Because they're usually just trying to get jobs, right? And then the other one.
Hold on. Let me say, hold on. So you gave an objection. You said, just try to get me on the list. But unless I've got a really good person, how would you get them to consider
I would
that
say, again, and that's like, marketing an MPC, right? So if I know that, Alan's company is dying for a structural engineer or a project manager who has a very specific background, I want to believe, and Alan may disagree with me, that if I had the goods and they were that desperate, I could get around that supplier list because I have before. But you can't kid yourself that some schmo you pulled off of Indeed is going to get you around that supplier list. If you're going to get around that supplier list, it has to be a guy that they're like, you have that guy now. And I will also say that on the flip side, I'm a preferred supplier of one company, and a recruiter called. They said, yeah, we'd like to interview. You got to call Tom, right? And they called me and wanted to do a split, but then he ended up, with very long story short, we didn't do a split. But I would have gladly done the split had he wanted to do it at 50%. He wanted to do it at 90-10, and I told him to go fuck himself. So there is ways around that, right? And guys like me, if I have a rock star that's kind of a rock star and I can't get around it, I'll take half if I can't play somebody somewhere else. Right? I'll call their recruiter.
Your client didn't mind you knocking out a good candidate because
I knew who he was. I found him anyway. As soon as the guy called me up, he's giving me a hard time, and he said he's got the experience and he's right here in New England. And all I did is went to I've been doing this a long time, so I went and looked. I called the other 5 guys I hadn't called yet, and I said, "Hey, are you looking?" And he started talking. I go, "By the way, did Buzz call you?" I go, "Yeah, I talked to Buzz like a week ago." I knew who it was. It was easy.
And the recruiting company didn't come after you after that guy was.
What was he gonna do? He never told me the guy's name. We didn't have any agreement. There's nothing he could do. He could have gotten half of a $27,000 fee. Instead, he got that.
Okay. But what about when you said, look, first of all, how would you know that Alan's company was really desperate for this kind of person?
That's what I'm talking. That's going to be someone like me who's been doing this for 26 years in the same industry knows, right? It's very difficult for a newbie to get over that objection, right? That's why I said it's something that's very rare. It would have to be where I knew that Alan's company just picked up a huge project to manage a manufacturing of a circuit plant, and they did not have a superintendent, and they're super hard to find, and they needed someone who knew circuits and heavy electricity, high voltage, plus storage racks, right? And if I had that guy, and I said, look, man, he's done 7 plants exactly like the one you guys just got. He's in California. He could be there tomorrow. You have to have that confidence in the candidate.
Well, you have to have that industry knowledge, just like Gavin says. That's why he recommends a very narrow niche. You know everybody. You get a lot of you hear rumors.
So the other ones was
hold on. What if Alan said you had that fantastic candidate that they absolutely need, and what if he said go and split that with my preferred list? Would you do it?
If I couldn't place the guy anywhere else, in a heartbeat.
Okay.
If I couldn't get through Alan, if I couldn't get around him, right, and I might not be able to. I'm still going to money's better than ego in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Donna, anything for you there, or should we move on to the next question?
You can move on. I got distracted.
So
okay. That's okay.
Other 3 that you gave.
Yeah, I gave. We're not working with agencies.
Do you ever work with agencies?
So that's your next question.
Do you ever work with agencies? Do you ever?
No, we don't. We don't.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. I have a source. Because everybody can't be a client, so I appreciate that. Let me know.
So you'd actually say that to somebody.
I've told you that 100 times, and I'll tell you it 100 again. If someone is stupid enough to say to me, "We never use recruiters," I'm going to tell them that they are now a source.
Wow.
So yes.
Wow.
I don't care. They're not going to hire it. So what?
Okay.
We don't have any openings, right? Was the other was we don't have any openings?
We're not recruiting. Yeah, we don't have any openings.
Adam, I didn't call you because I thought you had an opening. If you had an opening, you called me. The reason I called is because I have a candidate that if you call me and said, hey, I need a guy just like this, it might take me 6 months to find him. Now, I have no reason to believe you even have an opening, but I do know that you hire guys like this all the time. And I have a guy right now that can come in the board and hit the ground running. You may have a guy who's not up to potential, a girl who's getting ready to go on maternity leave. It costs you $0 to interview my candidate. And since it would take me 6 months to find a guy like this, wouldn't you at least want to talk to him just in case?
Okay, that is a Steve Finkel rebuttal. You say you like
Yeah.
Steve Finkel. That's pure Steve. Although you had, I like the feel you put into it. It didn't sound robotic. Okay, Steve used to have on his videos some guys who would read his stuff. It sounded just terrible.
You have to, again, I've been doing this 26 years. I've been using that rebuttal for 20, right? So
Okay.
it's natural to me now. And again, it's not done. If I get an interview, great, but it also smokes out. They might have an opening, just don't want to deal with me, right? Because to me, we don't have any openings. I'm just looking at the gap, right? So I'm gonna overcome it with I didn't call you because I thought you had an opening. If you open, you call me. I called you because I have a candidate like this. Would take it gets them to start thinking. Well, shit, we actually do have an opening. I just didn't want to deal with this asshole, but that sounds like a great guy.
Okay, so once but can't they do the same thing you just did? You gave them enough information, they could figure out who it is themselves, right?
I would never give them enough information for them to figure it out.
Sounded like you would. Okay.
I have a candidate that I know the type of people you hire, and I have a candidate that can hit the ground running tomorrow. That's enough information.
You did give more than that, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confusing your previous answer.
And what was the other one? I can't.
So first,
I
got no time to talk to you. I'm busy.
Yeah. So I start my conversations with, I know you're busy. I'll be brief. The reason you get that is because they say, did I catch you at a time where you could talk? I don't give them an opportunity to tell me that. I say, hey, Animal, this is Tom Lashley. I know you're busy. I'm a brief. I'm a headhunter. I specialize in your industry. I recently interviewed a candidate. It's got blah, 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 blah. I know we can hit the ground running. He comes working for you. When would you like to talk with him? Then
I'm busy now, Tom. I can't talk with you. Thanks.
Okay. So you hung out with me. I got to do.
I can't talk.
I said, is this candidate interest you? When can you talk?
Let me ask you this. Who are you calling? Because I know in my situation, I haven't, we have used outside recruiters, but right now, not allowed to, because that's my job. But like I said, I always try to keep them on the hook. But the ones who don't come to me, like, they have no shot because I decide. So if they go to people higher up, they literally can do nothing. So how do you handle that? Because most people talk about hating talking to HR.
Is there any position that your company has right now that they're dying to fill?
Who, me? Are you talking? Is this fake or real?
Yeah, I'm asking you in real world
Okay.
thing. You don't have to tell me the title, but is there a position right now?
Yes, I am. I am actively working on a position right now. Yes.
Okay, let's call it a bottle washer, right? So you're telling me if I call the engineering manager of bottle washers and I have a candidate that is a rock star, he's not going to talk to me?
Yes.
Because that's not been my experience.
Well, but you have to remember, I'm really good, so I bring people in quickly. I mean, within the month I closed on like 7 open positions. They were all. I'm
talking about if you have one that's been open for a while that you can't. That's
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Right now we don't, but
yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is because a lot of the people when they post on all the recruiter sites hate HR, hate dealing with HRs. That we're like. I don't know, like we have the plague.
I won't take a no from a person who can't say yes. You can't hire anybody. And don't take this the wrong way. You can find people, but you cannot hire the person. The manager hires the person. You don't hire anybody.
Yeah, but they can't bring them in. I'm the only one who can get authorization to use a recruiter. So if they get someone from a recruiter, they're going to get in trouble.
Well, I'm the only one who can do that. What would be is if he says, oh my God, we have been dying for this bottle washer, but I'm not allowed to use recruiters. I said, what is the process? I tell you what, why don't you go call Donna? Tell Donna that Tom called you and has this rock star, and I want to, Donna, and tell her you want to interview him, right? So then you're going to call me and say, hey, you talked to Steve. Steve says you got this bottle. I said, I do. Great, let's get him interviewed, right? Because my point. I have no problem dealing with a talent acquisition person, an HR, if they understand the process. Meaning that if you call me and say, Tom, we have a search. And we want a bottle washer, but you can't talk to the hiring manager, then we're not working together.
Yeah, and our hiring managers don't like to talk to the recruiters, so
then I can't help you. It's impossible.
except for the fact that I'm very good and I would tell you more than they would tell you because I would know more. But
I guarantee
Just
you
in
that
case everybody
I
didn't hear it,
guarantee you
Dawn is very good.
100%
I'm
right
very
now.
She said
good.
she said it
I
twice
could give
already.
you
Okay.
questions that
I'm
would
very
overwhelm
good.
you, and you wouldn't be able to do it.
And
That
I know Rich
you
would
wouldn't.
agree with
Oh,
what
You
Tom.
wouldn't.
How about we could do a dinner on it?
Yeah, but you'd have to know my industry. I mean, you could start asking
I
about
wouldn't even
engineers, and you're right.
I could probably, and that's
I
the
can tell you
thing.
about the client. I can tell you about the scope. I can tell you about their financials. I can tell you exactly the makeup of the team. I can tell you. I
Okay,
mean,
so what about things like? Let me give you an example. Let's say it's a mechanical engineering position, right? Let's say it's mechanical, right? And I say, what does he use to evaluate the team in a design capacity? What are the current
Yeah. I don't know this
software?
stuff. And try to make it apples to apples. Like I don't know anything about engineering, and maybe that's part of it. It's not as technical, but I do know. I know how they evaluate things. I know the systems they use. I like for what we do.
How
I
often do
know
they
all
upgrade the
those
systems?
things.
What
You know what I'm
what
saying?
parameters do they use when they decide they're going to upgrade their current? Like, and exactly, it could be because I don't
It's
know
just
your industry.
different. Yeah, it's different. It's not as technical. I'm dealing with client services, project management. The most technical are the PhD, PharmDs, and MDs who are doing the medical writing. But even then, I can talk about the deliverables. I can talk about what they have to
But if
run
I
through
can't
for
talk to the
medical
manager,
legal
I don't get an
review.
idea of what the manager's personality is like. I don't get an idea of the type of person he is.
Look, I get it. I wanted to do the same thing. Like I always wanted to talk to the hiring managers, but I just know like in this situation, and I try that sometimes I've been successful. One time when we needed to use staffing because it was freelance, where I got the person to talk to the manager, but that's been it. They don't want to. But again, I don't have a lot to draw on because we've only
Well, the thing would be,
used recruiters for the short term. For the
and you would
staffing.
also think like, if a manager is like, hey, how come you haven't found any people? Well, you're not giving me enough information. Let's sit down with the recruiter, right? So you also have to look at it like that.
That's true. And we have to remember I'm very good, so that hasn't happened. So.
Yeah, and that's just it. You're not in a situation where you need recruiters, right? A lot of my
Right.
clients, they don't have talent acquisition. I have a Fortune 100 company, right? That's got 40,000 employees that got 6 talent acquisition people across 96 plants. That, like all the
Crazy.
hiring's done at each location separately, right? So they need us, and they value us, and they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, go Tom, go, because it's worth it to them to pay me 20 grand not to have a position open for a month.
Right.
And in your case, you're filling everything, so it's not apples to apples, right?
Right.
And to go back to your question is, if someone wants me to actually work on a search that is critical to their organization, I need to talk to the person who will be doing the hiring as well as you, to get all my questions answered, to get a feel for the environment of the department, the manager, type of person he is, who he's usually hired, because he's going to say things he may not say to you too.
Almost all she's and mine.
Oh, she's
Just
really?
just put that out there.
and you probably don't want to hear this in HR or whatever, but sometimes hiring managers will tell me things they will not tell HR. Right?
Yeah, I can see where that can happen, but that's not the situation I'm in here. But I could see that could be a situation.
So when someone's doing business development, look, American Buildings Company, Jan Spitzer made me a lot of money. He was a director of HR, but he and I would talk about a search, and then he would give me the director's or the manager's name and say, here, call him to get any more information you need.
Well, and to an earlier point, and maybe you didn't make it today, but it's been made in the past, when the companies are hiring, when their companies are valuing what an external recruiter can do or what an HQ can do, then that's how they're going to treat the relationship anyway. But in this situation where the goal is to do it all,
not use recruiters, you don't want to use us.
They're not going to do any extra steps that encourage, that relationship. So,
how big is your company?
I think now about 53.
Okay, so and I would also say it's a smaller company, so you can get away with it. But if they were going to hire a CEO, right, they're going to go through Heidrick or Korn, or maybe they go through somebody like me. But you're definitely going to be talking to the board, and they're going to be talking to the people, the chairman of the board. They're not going to be talking to HR in that situation. I don't care how locked down HR and TA is. When you start going to that level, there's no company that'll do that.
Well, but keep in mind, we're not locked down because it's our rules. We're locked down because that's coming from the founders, the CEO, the senior leadership. It's
So in
not
that case, the,
it's not
the
that we're
founders would be
saying.
like, if we're going to interview a new CEO, the founders are going to interview him, right? And
Right.
they're
They
gonna
would
wanna-
probably do that on
yeah.
their own. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Did you beat that to death? Yeah. Okay. That's the longest I ever let
I know.
wondered
know.
when
I'm
he was
surprised.
going
I
to
was
break
waiting for you to
it
interrupt.
in, right?
It was the end of the show. You guys wanted to beat it out. That's fine with me. Although I was thinking the whole time, can I cut this down to a minute? I don't think so.
Donna, do you pay for ChatGPT?
Do I pay
No.
for it?
Oh, does
I-
Donna?
Huh? No.
You pay the $20 a month.
No.
Okay.
Well,
No.
why'd you ask her? Now you have to tell us
Because
why.
know
I
why.
I have 5 GPTs that
Uh-huh.
were built that you can only use if you pay the price, and that was one of the
Oh.
reasons why I said, like, we have one that's called Overwhelming, and Trisha Tamkin designed it, called Overwhelming
Okay.
HR, and it has so many questions that HR can't answer, and it's mostly for probably more technical type roles, even a sales role, but it asks so many questions that it would be almost impossible. The HR manager by the 7th question would be like, "Hold on, let me get the hiring
Yeah.
manager." That's what it's
I've heard you
designed to
talk about that. I just don't have a need for it right now to do a paid version.
Yeah. But for anyone, like, if you feel like you're getting in a position, because I like if this one, the company that ghosted me, if she wasn't going to let, I was prepared too, just in case, because she seemed like she was going to let me talk to the director of ops, but if she didn't, I already had
You had your
15
ready.
questions ready for her that I knew she wouldn't be able to answer.
No, yeah,
'Cause it's
that would be
stuff
good
that
to
she doesn't
have.
understand about the field.
Well, and to be fair, remember, I'm very good. So but I do recognize, I gotta say it over and over now. No, but I do recognize from having worked with HR, it is different. And I think it's different because I came from the agency background and coming in. And so when I would work with a lot of different HRs who just acted as screeners, and it was really almost just the basic questions of, do you check this box, and then they moved on. So it is different. I mean, it's unique being in this role this way. I mean,
Don't be
there's
surprised if you see a 1 or 10
I am
or
very good. I'm very
15
good.
second short on YouTube that says,
Very
"I'm very
good.
good. I'm very good."
Yeah,
No,
but you're
and
probably
you know
gonna
what?
start it
You-
with
What
just
you're
don't
saying
start it
makes total
with
sense.
hi,
Right?
John.
You make total sense. She is good because she doesn't need us. I mean, that is, that's fantastic.
I didn't say she's not good. I praise her all the time.
No.
Okay?
I wasn't saying you didn't. I'm just saying, like, you're in a situation where if a recruiter calls, they're just gonna be like, screw it. Like, she knows what she's doing. I don't have to deal with that. Like, and you don't have tons of openings. You're not
No.
dying.
And I have one that I've already gotten permission to get help on because they don't give me any tools except for LinkedIn Recruiter. That's all I have. So, and we're going to be very specific. We need someone in a specific geographic location for this client who has these certain. I'm like, I don't have the tools
Enough
to do that
already.
now.
I'm done. Okay. I had a long list of tools, by the way, that I was going to run
Speaking of
by
tools.
that Ben Mina put together. I was going to run it by Tom
Oh,
and
yeah, that's good.
and Rich. I posted it. He had this long article. I cut it down to 1/10 of the size. I was going to run them all by, but we'll do that another time.
On
Donna
Facebook.
Terrell, Tommy Alascio, Pistachio. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Take care.